out of section 3.1. This is actually the last question. And so, excuse me, we got to fill in the table. So, y'all, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to work with these three numbers, and I'm going to convert those numbers to base 10, okay? So, I'm actually going to start with this one down here. So, the number 12 in base 8, what that means that there's 1 8, and there's 2 1s. So that's going to give me 8 plus 2. That's going to be 10. So this is the number 10 in base 10, okay? Now, I'm going to do the same thing here for 432 in base 6. 432 in base 6. And I'm actually going to start from here. That means that there's 2 1s, there's 3 6s, and there's 4 36s, okay? Because since I'm dealing with base 6, these are the 6 to the zeros, these are the 6 to the firsts, and those are the 6 squareds, okay? So let's see, 4 times 36. Let me grab a calculator real quick. Let's clear this out. Okay, 4 times 36 is 144. So I have 144, plus 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2. So that's 144 plus 20. That's 164. So I know this number here, y'all, is going to give me a 164. And then I'm going to do the same process for this one right here. So we have 2,222 in base 3. Okay, so let's see. That means that there's 2 1s. There are 2 3s. Okay. There are 2 9s. And there are 2 27s. Okay. Again, these are the 3 to the zeros. Those are the 3 to the first. Those are the 3 squareds, and those are the 3 to the thirds, okay? So 3 to the third is at 27, 3 squared is at 9, 3 to the first is at 3, 3 to the 0 really is just the number 1. That's why we say there's 2 1s, okay? So let's see if we can figure this out. 2 times 27 is 54, okay? Let's see, 2 times 9 is 18, 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 1 is 2. So let me add those numbers together. 54, 18, 6, and 2. Okay, so let's see. 54 plus 18 plus 6 plus 2. Okay, that's giving me the number 80. Okay, so right here, that's the number 80. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, y'all, I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this, okay? Because I'm going to do this part on the next slide, and I'm going to do this in stages, okay? So here we go. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do this in stages. And actually, you know what? Let me see if I can clean this up a little bit because I don't need all of that stuff. I need that. Okay. So this looks a little bit better. Okay. So let's try it this way. If we have the number 52, and let me see if I can fix this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we have the number 52, and we want to write this in base 3. What we're going to do is 52. Remember, in base 3, I have 1s, I have 3s, I have 9s, I have 27s. The next one would be 81, but that's too many. That's too high. Okay, so I'm not going to use 81. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, 27. How many times would 27 go into the number 52? And I would say actually only one time, because 27, or 52 minus 27, let's see, 52 minus 27 is something like 25, okay? So that's going to give me 25, okay? So that means I'm going to have a 1 right here because it went in one time. Now, I'm going to take the number 25 and I'm going to divide it by 9. And that's going to go in 3 times, right? Not 3 times, I'm sorry, but 2 times, because 3 would be too much. 2 times. That's going to give me the number 18. And when we take 25 minus 18, let's see, 25 minus 18, that's going to give me a total of 7. Okay, so I have 7. So, so far I have a 1, I have a 2. Now I'm going to take the number 7 and I'm going to divide it by 3. So 3 goes into 7 2 times. That's a 6 with a remainder of 1. So far I got a 2, and then my remainder is going to be the last number I'm going to use, okay? So the way I would write 52 in base 3 is I would write 1, because for this 1, then I would write 2 for this 2 right here, and then I would write this 2, and then I would write my remainder of 1 right there. And that's my number in base 3, okay? So, y'all, I'm going to do the same process again, but I'm going to do this for base 6, okay? So I am going to clean up this mess here because I know there's a lot of mess here. Okay. And what I want to think about now is what do my numbers look like in base 6? So I have 1s, right? I have 6s, and the next one I have are 36s. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my number 52 and I'm going to divide it by 36. Okay. So that's going to go in one time. Okay. And let's subtract. So let's say, what's 52 minus 36? That's 16. Okay. So I'm left with 16. All right. So now we're going to take 16 and we're going to divide it by the next number we have, which is 6. So 6 goes into 16 2 times. That gives me 12 with a remainder of 4. Okay. So now in base 6, excuse me, I'm going to use the 1. I'm going to use the 2. And my remainder is my last number here, and that's in base 6. Okay. Now, let's go through this process one more time, y'all, and we're going to do this in base 8. Okay. So let's see if we can't figure this part out. So, y'all, for base 8, okay, we have 1s, we have 8s, and 8 squared is 64. That number is too big, so I'm not going to worry about 64. I'm going to start off with 8s. So I'm going to take my number 52, and I'm going to divide it by 8, and that's going to go in 6 times. That's 48, okay? So if I wanted to know what is 52 minus 48, that's going to give me 4, okay? That's my remainder, okay? So I'm going to use the number 6, and then my last number is my remainder, and that's in base 8, okay? So I'm going to do this process, y'all, all over again, okay? So look, let me clean up this mess here, okay? And I'm just going to kind of, oh, that's already had a screenshot of that. Okay, so let me take a screenshot of this, okay? Now, I'm going to do the same thing, you guys. I'm going to upload this picture. Here we go. And let's try it like that. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing here, y'all, but I'm going to take the number 164. Okay, oops, let me get my eraser. Let me make this better. 164. Okay, so now we're dealing with base 3. Okay, so in base 3 we have 1s, we have 3s, we have 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. 81 times 3 would be 243. And if I'm dealing with 164, that's way too big. Okay, so I don't need that. But I am going to start off, y'all, with 81s. Okay, that's an 81, by the way. Okay, so look, I'm going to take 81, and I'm going to divide it into 164. That's going to go in 2 times, because that's going to give me 162. Okay, and when I subtract, I'm left with a remainder of 2. Okay. So I want you to think about, these are kind of like my place values here, right? So the number here is going to be a 2, okay? Now, 27 is not going to go into 2, so that's going to be a 0. 9 is not going to be a 2, so that's going to go as a 0. And 3 doesn't go into 2, so that's going to be a 0. But my last number here, you guys, is going to be a 1. So there's my answer for that piece, okay? Now, we're going to do that process one more time, you guys, okay? So let me clean up this mess here. Okay, let me clean up this mess here. And now we're going to go over to, let's see, which number am I doing? Okay, 164. Okay, I actually started with this one. I forgot to do 80, but we'll come back and do it. So let's do 164. Let's do that in base 6, okay? So remember, in base 6, y'all, we have 1s, we have 6s, we have 36s, and let's see, what's 36 times 6? Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. 36 times 6 is 216. And we have 216s, but since we're dealing with 164, that number is too big. So we're going to start off with 36s. 36 into 164. Let's see, I'm going to say that's probably going to go in about, let's see, maybe 5 times? Let's try 5. Let's see if that works. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15. Well, that's too much. Okay, so maybe not 5. We're just kidding. 36 into 164. Let's try 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 more is 14. There we go. And that's a 0, and that's a 2. Okay, so now I got 20 as my remainder. Okay, So I know that for my 36s, I have 4 of them. Now, I'm going to take 20, and I'm going to divide it by the next number I have, which is 6. That's going to go in 3 times, right? And my remainder here is going to be 2. Okay, so for my 6s, now I have a 3, and my remainder is 2. So notice how I'm going to write this out. First number is a 4. Where am I? 164. Oh, guys, look what I got. 432, which is what we had. Okay, sorry, that was my bad. I was doing the same number all over again. Okay, but anyway, we verified it worked, right? Silly, silly, silly. Okay, let's take 164. Sorry about that, y'all. Let's do this in base 8. Okay, so sorry again. My apologies. I was going through the same problem. All right, 164 in base 8. So remember, I have 1s. Oops. I have 1s. I have 8s. And I have 64s. Okay. So let's take a look. 64 into 164 would probably go in 2 times. That's going to give me a 128. So 164, oops, 164 minus 128 is 36. Okay. So I'm left with 36. Okay, the next number I'm going to divide it by is 8. 36 divided by 8 is 4 times. So that's a 32 with a remainder of 4. Okay, so now how am I going to write my numbers? 2, 4, and 4. So in base 8, this is 2, 4, and 4 in base 8. Okay. So, y'all, I'm going to do this process again. I still got to do a few more, okay? But what I'm going to do now is, okay, I'm going to take a screenshot here. Okay, let me do that. I know this is kind of a long video, but it's kind of a long problem, right? Okay, let's do this here. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to deal with 10. And how do I write 10 in base 3 and in base 6? So remember, y'all, in base 3, I have 1s, I have 3s, and I have 9s, right? And I have bigger numbers too, but since I'm at 10, 9 is going to be where I'm going to stop. So I'm going to take 10, and I'm going to divide it by 9. It goes in 1 time, right, with a remainder of 1. Okay, so far that's telling me I need 1 9, right? Now, the question is, does 3 go into 1? No, it doesn't. So I don't need any 3s. And how many 1s do I have? Just 1 left over. So my answer here, y'all, is going to be 101 base 3. Okay. So let's try the same process again. And let's do this for base 6. Okay. So remember, y'all, in base 6, we have 1s, we have 6s, and we have 36s. But 36 is too big. So we're going to take 6 and divide it into 10. It's going to go in 1 time with a remainder of 4. So I have 1 6 and 4 1s, and that's in base 6. Okay. So we got that number down. Okay, let's come back and do the one that I forgot to do, which was the 80. Okay. So again, let me take a screenshot of this. Okay, move that over. And let's upload this guy here. Okay. Now, we're dealing with the number 80, okay? And we're going to do this in base 6 and in base 8. So remember, y'all, in base 6, we have 1s, we have 6s, we have 36s, and we have 216s. Okay, that's the next one. But 216 is too big for 80, so we don't need the 216. So we're going to take the number 80, and we're first going to divide it by 36, okay? So that's going to go in 2 times, because that's going to give me 72 with 8 left over. Okay. Now I'm going to take my number 8, and I'm going to divide it by 6. So 6 is going to go into 8 1 time with 2 left over. Okay. So how many 36s did we have? We had 2 of them. How many 6s did we have? We had 1 of them. What was our remainder? My remainder was 2, and there's my number in base 6, right? Okay. So let's do the same thing for base 8, okay? So let's clean this mess up here. Let's talk about base 8. In base 8, we have 1s, we have 8s, and we have 64s, okay? So we're going to go ahead and 80. We're going to start with 64. That's going to go in 1 time, isn't it? and I'm going to be left with 16. Okay. So I have, so far, I know I have 164. Okay, then I have the number 16. And I want to figure out how many times does 8 go into 16? Oh, it goes in twice. Nice and neat. What's my remainder? 0. So I have 2 8s and I have no 1s. So this is going to be 120 base 8. Okay. And again, let me clean this up. And I know it is a little bit messy. I apologize for the messiness. But that's how I do this problem. I know it's a long problem, right? It's got a lot of parts. But that's the process and how you're doing them, okay? If y'all got any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help.